The most important relationship that you will ever cultivate is the relationship with self. Mindful Expansion Volume 1 is equal parts journal, personal expansion tool, experience tracker, mind awakener, consciousness enhancement ally, and intergalactic spaceship. 282 pages of intentional awesomeness, 122 days of mindful expansion, 20 additional introspective expansion volume 1 pages to continue if you need a little bit more room, 3 custom node keys for you to fill out in any way that you would like, and spine nodes on the outside of the journal to track the volume and year number, with beautiful custom cover art by phenomenal artist Janine Burgess. Mindful Expansion Volume 1 and the rest of the expansion series is available on Barnes & Noble Press and Amazon KDP. For the rest of the expansion series video walkabout tutorials, check Rediginal Publishing's social media pages at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all the others. Moon Tracker. Now, the Moon Tracker is exactly what it sounds like. It can be located on the left-hand page in the upper left corner of your journal. Looking at how it functions here, it has a large circle for the fill-in moon phase. It's got your moon meter, where you can determine how impacted you are by the phase of moon that we're in. Underneath that, we have a few lines to where you can write number 1, the cycle number for the year. So I have 7th written down on my example here. This is the 7th moon cycle for the year that we are in. You then have a couple of lines for a right-in phase. Underneath that, you have a days until the next phase. Here, we're going to put the number of days we have until the next moon phase, which will then correspond to the next circle, where you will also fill in the next moon phase. Below that, you have a few lines to where you can write in the next moon phase, as well as an additional line for any astrological significance you may feel is occurring right now, if the moon is in Capricorn or moon is in Virgo, for instance. So you may note that. Now, as we look at the hand example here, we have a fill-in version in the top part where I just fill in the phase as it is in the sky. Then we have our meter, as if it's really affecting me in a certain way, I will note this. If I'm being negatively impacted or I'm being very introspective around new moon time, I'm a new moon baby, so that happens. I will then put again the 7th phase. This is just the 7th phase that we are in for the year, kind of if you're in July, rather. So then you have a couple of lines here where I will hand write in a waxing crescent, which is what that phase is. We then have underneath here where we are going to put the number of days until the next phase, and I'm going to put 4 days until the next phase, which is a first quarter. I'll write that here, but fill in what the next phase will look like in the sky in this second circle here. Now, as well, you have this additional line for if the moon is in a certain sign, you can note that. That is probably going to be important as you start tracking the moon. This is really all about tracking cycles. You can track any cycle that you would like. The moon is just a very interesting one to start with, and you may be impacted by it and not even know it. The daily design is just 4 questions that you will ask yourself every single day. It's located on the left-hand page at the very top, just next to your cycle counter. And in this, we would just ask these 4 questions and set the tone for our day. It's a wonderful vibe check to ask yourself, who do I choose to be today? How do I choose to feel today? What do I choose to give today? And what do I choose to receive today? So if we looked at the hand example here, we could see that also just want to mention that we can fill these out as we go. This is a meditative practice in itself to fill this entire area out in a different color that you'd like. And you could choose the color of the day of the week, for instance, if Mondays are green or whatever, then you could just delineate that. And then that will allow you, as you're running back through your journal, to note that pretty quickly. In this, we see you have 2 lines here to answer each question. Now, for the who do I choose to be today, I always pick me. There are different interpretations on how you want to do this. A friend of mine says Batman, and he embraces all the qualities of Batman, which is a beautiful interpretation. And this is why no 2 will ever be alike. So use this space to really remind yourself of these 4 things that you would like to be mindful of. Ask yourself these questions throughout the day. That is the daily design section for the Mindful Expansion Volume 1 journal. Mantra. Your mantra or daily focus section can be found on the left-hand page in the very middle. It's going to be the unlined section. You can write your motivation there or utilize that to draw like a wicked gnarly dragon or something like this. Anything will do in this area. This is for you to be motivated, to be inspired, and to create, or to make sure that you keep track of some words of wisdom to inspire you throughout the day. Now let's take a look at the sample here. I have written just a few words of wisdom here that I like to start my day with, as well as a little doodle to feel empowered. This is my guy all charged up and he's pumped for the day. But feel free to utilize this section for whatever you would like as a daily focus or a mantra or just a little doodle, something like that. Reading practice. Now, this section is simply to keep track of the books that you are reading at the time. It's located on the left-hand page at the very bottom on the left, inverse of where the moon or cycle tracker can be found. It features the circle at the very top right for the book number of the year that you're on. If you're just crushing it and it's 60-something books for the year, throw that there. The book title will go just to the left in those lines there. I have a little circle or a node there that you can fill in with whatever color you'd like and make that mean whatever you want. If it's the first book that you were reading by the author, for instance, you can check that in and that's what that means for you. But it can mean anything. The lines below that are going to be for the author that wrote the book that you are reading at the time. The three circles at the bottom, the very top is for the chapter. The bottom left is for the page number that you read from. The one to the right of that, you can just follow the arrow, and that is the page number that you read to. Now, above that, you'll see three smaller circles that are connected to the outside of that section, and that is what I utilize for my book enjoyment meter. Let's say I'm loving the book, I will rail that thing from a lowest to highest standpoint, and that's how I know I'm really enjoying it, or maybe not so much. Now, let's look at the hand example here. This is my third book that I've read for the year. It is An End to Upside Down Thinking. The author is Mr. Mark Gober. Chapter 12 is what I read today from page 183 to page 200. And my meter of enjoyment is railing out because I absolutely love this author and what he talks about. An End to Upside Down Thinking is a wonderful book if you would like to start your reading practice and not sure where to start. Could not recommend this book more. Gratitude. This is where we're going to list all the things that we're grateful for. This is an important daily practice. The gratitude section can be found on the left-hand page at the very bottom, clearly marked gratitude. And this is the section in which, of course, we are just going to go off on how grateful we are for all the things in our lives. I usually will put this little bullet point system if I have things to list out, but you can go on an absolute gratitude rant with this thing and encouraged to do so. Now, at the very bottom here, I leave a small little line after I'm done saying what I'm grateful for, and I simply put, and so it is. Now, this can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For me, it simply means that I have solidified this, and it's just, so it is. Yeah, I'm just grateful for this stuff. It's existed in my life. Incredibly important practice to keep. Now and noteworthy. This section is for anything that you find currently relevant in your life right now, and noteworthy. It is found on the right-hand page of your journal at the very top, and this is bullet point style list out of what is going on currently, quickly in your life that you can refer back to later on. Health updates in this, any worldly events if that serves your mental health to look at that stuff, any astrological events. Let's look at a sample here. Now, here I, again, am using different colors to delineate different things for me. Astrology, maybe if Mercury's in retrograde, I'm going to write there. If there's a bunch of airplanes spraying something out of the back of them, I may track that, and I may note that because that may have something to do with the weather. Cat brought in a live bird to the house. That absolutely happened. So if that happened, that's an exciting thing in your day. Might as well note that in that section there. Really anything you want for the now and noteworthy, just any current event, anything going on in your world that's of note. Thought Ninja. This section can be found on the right-hand page at the very top over to the side here. Now, what this section is mainly for is for you to list all of the things that you are releasing that no longer serve you moving forward, the intrusive thoughts, the qualities that you feel, either names you've been called, anything like that. This is where you are releasing that. Now, if we look at the features, we see a few different lines to where you can list those things out, as well as a large circle at the top where you can note days in battle. If you've been having a tough time with this and it's been a few days where intrusive thoughts have occurred or your mind's just not right, then you may note that and kind of track that. As well, we have a meter at the very top to where how intense these intrusive thoughts or how strong the mental battle is that day, you can note that as well. Now, here in the hand example, I have listed just a few things. I always put an X through this as these do not exist in reality in my journal. They are just things that I am releasing, and therefore the Thought Ninja comes in and cuts them out with his awesome katana here before they turn into fear spirals. And this is the stuff that we are releasing. But also it's a wonderful section to be able to keep track of what's going on mentally with you. Bring about. Your Bring About section is found on the right-hand page of your journal at the very bottom on the right, and this is going to be inverse to the Thought Ninja release. We are going to bring in this section what we released in the above section. Here as well, you have a breakdown of all of the things that you are wanting to bring in here, any qualities, attributes, traits, resources, inspiration, the empowerment that you're looking to embody, that goes here. Again, we are losing this here and bringing this in here. This works in tandem, these two sections. Right here as well at the bottom, you're going to find a circle to where in this node, you can note anything you want. If you are victorious for this long, if you feel very empowered, if you are seeing any of these things, then this would be where you want to note and celebrate that for its consistency. These, again, work hand in hand. Very interesting dynamic that goes on here. When you start releasing what no longer serves, you have got to absolutely put in the things that you want to bring about to replace that. Law of compensation. Conversation with self. This section can be found on the right-hand page at the bulk part of the journal. This is the journal-y bit of it. These are the bunch of lines that you have to express yourself in any way that you would like. Now, in this, be honest, be real, be free. Here is where you can daily check in with the one that always has your back here. You can recall yesterday. You can reflect and appreciate just how far you've come with the information that you have at this time. You can remind yourself just how awesome you're doing with all of the changes that you are experiencing, as well as any daily notes, check-ins, any goings on, reminder of how unstoppable you are. Anything like this can be found there. There are also additional pages in the back of this journal, which will be covered in another video, that are an extension. So if you need more room than this, we've got you covered. Goals and visions. This section can be found on the left-hand page at the very, very bottom of the page. Bullet point style as it is and now in Noteworthy at the top, but this is where you are going to set and crush goals. Anything that you've got going on to stay motivated, to remain unstoppable, to stay focused. This is how you answer that question. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. To have goals is to have glory. Keep track of them here and remain unstoppable. In the hand example here, I will use different colors to note different goals that I'm working on at the time. We have a big meeting coming up for the publishing house. I've got a co-hosting spot that evening, or also a big episode release coming up. That is something that I will note there to make sure that I am vigilant on all things necessary for those upcoming events. This is what a full filled out day will look like in your Mindful Expansion Volume 1 journal. Now, as we look here, we have the moon, which is filled out in that specific color blue. I do use different colors for the different sections. This is just how I roll. So my blue in the moon here is all completely filled out. Different blue for my daily design. Yet another blue for the mantra section here. As well, we have the reading practice done in red reading. That just worked out for me. Purple is gratitude for me, and that's just how I do that. The Now in Noteworthy section completely filled out with all of the things relevant for what's going on today. I have released this. I am attracting this. Here are my goals that are clearly stated, and I've had a wonderful conversation with myself. I have been consistent on this journal for 42 days. This is my consistency tracker here, and everything overall, if hitting all 10 points, this is what a day will look like, minus the little circles that are filled in here. Check the nodes video for what is going on with all of that. That is a full day completely filled out. And feel free to use this again to fill in with whatever color that you would like. That is why those 2 lines are there and I didn't just use one. This is part of the meditative practice, is to be able to fill this in, get down in it, stay within the lines. Everybody likes to color, so there you go. Let's talk custom nodes. Now, when you open your Mindful Expansion Journal, you will get to a page that looks like a schematic for a UFO. First of all, thank you. Second of all, don't be overwhelmed by this. We break this down, go piece by piece. This simply shows you all of the different examples that you could utilize any of these little circles that we call nodes in this book. Also, in the very back here, you have 3 different blank examples for you to fill in these how you like. If you want this to not mean the moon, good. Make it mean something completely different. And then when you fill this out on the front, you're the only one that knows what it means. This little circle right here, if you want to make that mean something very, very specific and personal to you, outstanding. And when you fill it out in that color each day that you're working on that or mindfully aware of that, only you knows what's going on with that. The constellations over here are exploded out and broken down as well. So again, you can assign these things. If you don't care for the note taking on the date and time and things like that, then don't worry about it. Use this however you would like. And like I said, there are 3 sample pages in the back for you to explore and change your mind. Now, what this will look like completely filled out would be this. And in this, I use a color-coded system, of course, because that is just more efficient for me. This will show you that I still retained the moon example here because I like tracking the moon. It's in there on purpose for me, but you can track whatever you would like here. Same with the reading practice. If you would just like to do something absolutely different with this section, please feel free and go for it. We're going to end up breaking down all of these in the nodes section. Just wanted to introduce you to the overall node vibe of this thing. So let's break them down piece by piece. Weather tracker. Now this can be found on the left-hand page, right in the section with the mantra tucked under between moon and reading. And these two sections are played together in my mind. Now you can use this however you would like. But if we're looking at it here, the top circle, you can delineate for the high temp for the day, the low temp for the lower circle, and then any of those 6 circles there you can assign to different variations in weather so that you know when you fill this out for the day what that meant. Now, if we look here at the hand example, I simply will go the high temp for the top line here. That's the highest temp for the day, the lowest temp for the day. I do choose to use this as a weather tracker, so I note that there. And then I assign whatever I want each of these circles down here to be. You could follow the dotted line and say that whenever I fill this in on my daily, then I know that this circle simply means that we got snow that day. And then you just leave the other ones unfilled, and that way you know that that was the condition. Now, if it's sunny and rainy, you may go ahead and fill those out as well to show the variant of temperatures, right? Now, how that would look filled out on a day example here would be that we would have filled in that we had an 80-degree high for that day, a 68-degree low, and it was sunny. And we filled that in here because everything else, we didn't have any rain, any ice, any storms, anything like that. And so this is an easy way to keep track of the weather, and it's found right there. Mood meter. Your mood meter can be found on the left-hand page at the very bottom on the right. This set of nodes is what I will assign my mood to be, anywhere from a range of absolutely bummed to truly elated. That is how I keep track of my mood and where I was for the day. If we look at our hand example here, then we see that my mood for this day was absolutely railed out. I am pumped. Everything's going great. This has a wonderful start to the day written all over it, and I know that I just kept that going for the day. And that's how you find and use the mood meter nodes on your Mindful Expansion Volume 1 journal. Energy tracker. These nodes serve as a function of how much energy I have as a meter from a scale of struggle bus to unstoppable. These can be found on your left-hand page at the very top on the right-hand section, that string of nodes there, inverse of your mood meter. Now, your energy meter here can be assigned to anything that you would like it to be. There are 7 circles there. So if rather than have a meter from struggle bus to unstoppable and everything in between, you may assign those 7 circles to mean a chakra system or something that you are aligning with purposefully every day, and then use those colors accordingly to fill it in. Now, this again can be used in any way that you would like. I simply choose to track my energy with this. Let's take a look at what it looks like on a filled out day page. Over here, we can see that I wasn't quite unstoppable. I made it all the way up to Batman, but not quite unstoppable this day. This is a wonderful way to keep track of your energy output and flow and what you began your day with. You may correspond this to the moon. If the moon is in a close to new moon phase, you may find that you have a lot less energy. If your mood is outputted differently based on a couple of factors found also within your journal, you may also see that your energy is reflected in that. When it's all said and done, an energy tracker is very important for seeing where you're at day to day, how your circadian rhythm is being affected by your sleep patterns or by your mood or even the moon if you're tracking that. There are many different reasons why you would want to keep track of your energy from day to day. That's why it's in here. Consistency tracker. This feature can be found on the left-hand page, and it shares the space with the mantra section. In here is where you will simply keep track of all of the things that you're consistent about and choosing to remain focused on. I choose this big circle here in the middle to be my days consistent with journaling. If I've picked this thing up, whether I go through all of the steps or not, I will still absolutely note in here that I have filled out at least my moon or talked about my day a little bit and then moved on. Also, you have sections here where you can assign these little nodes as you fill them in to be anything that you want. If you find the daily design an important feature of this book and you want to make sure that it's a focus for you, then assign that node there to be the daily design so that you make sure that you have your eyes on filling that out every day. And as you fill out your daily design in the same color that you choose to do that in, go ahead and fill that node in so that you know, obviously, you did but that it's a mindfulness practice to stay mindfully vigilant about it. As well, mantra, your time in nature, your goals and gratitude. These were the things that are important to me that I will put the most focus on, that even if I don't have a lot of time to spend with my journal in the morning, I will make sure that those things get done. Let's take a look at what that looks like in our hand example. So we have here that I've been 42 days consistent with this journal at the time of this. I have been doing my daily design, my mantra, my gratitude, my goals, and my walk in nature. I just know that those are the things that I assigned those to be back here to be of importance. Daily commitments. Your daily commitment notes can be found on the left page on either side of the mantra. Now you can assign these to be anything that you would like. I have chosen for the top ones to be my physical commitments for the day, and the bottom section to represent the set the tone protocol that I am following that is located in the front of the journal. Now my physical commitments here, I'm going to keep track of how many days consistent with these commitments that I have assigned them to be. So I chose my age, which is 42 years young, in lunges, push-ups, and sit-ups. When I do the sit-ups for the day, I will fill that in. Do 42 push-ups for that day, I will fill that in my lunges, and I have completed the set. And I really want to keep that going because it is not challenging for me to do 40 push-ups in a 24-hour period. This is more of a discipline thing than anything. It does not get you super jacked and healthy and in shape. It's better than nothing. But this has a lot to do with your mindset, and I highly recommend using this practice for something similar. Now, the bottom node section here, I utilize for the tone that is found in the beginning of this journal. The water before coffee or caffeine in the morning, get your mindset right. Anything rolling around in there, get it in check. Your reading practice, I get a little time in nature, no phone or EMF, computer, anything else for the first hour. I will spend that time instead reading, journaling, and in nature. I can also knock out my physical commitments in the morning, no problem. And then my days consistent with that is where I will note that there. How this will look on a filled-in day as you go through your journey is you will say, I have done my sit-ups, push-ups, lunges for this many days straight. I have had water before coffee. My mindset is awesome. I've done the reading, the journaling, the walk in nature, everything else. My physical commitment, which is also in the same color, by the way. And I have been consistent with that for that many days. This is a private way for you to track a lot of information in a small amount of space utilizing these nodes. Let's talk about some custom node trackers. Trackers can be found on the right-hand page, very, very top upper right and very bottom lower right. In these, you can delineate how many days you have been strong on crushing a habit and how consistent or moving forward you are. You have did it, you have completed the day, fill that in victoriously, and how many days strong you are. This is your addiction annexer, your habit harnesser. Use this for anything that you feel that you need to release and keep track of, or any skill sets that you may be acquiring may be in place. Are you losing and claiming addiction, claiming strength over this addiction here as you learn a new skill here, and they just keep amplifying one another? That's a beautiful in tandem way to keep track of your progress there. Now, those trackers filled in may look something like this. Maybe I've been 3 days strong on a new project and it's been amazing, and so I've been filling that in. And then 12 days maybe on an addiction or habit that I'm looking forward to breaking that's been a little more challenging, and maybe I've got some angst and anxiety in it, and so I may note it in either a specific color or, note it with a little couple of hash marks here that is really tough, something like that. Any way that you want to articulate what you would like to express in these sections is all up to you. Countdowns. Countdown nodes can be found on the right-hand page on either side of your temporal constellation. Now these, just as any other part of this, can be filled in any way that you would like. I choose to count things down as far as trips, weddings, anything like this, product launches, events. This is where I will not only count down, but also assign these nodes to be different features of the countdown. For instance, if we are going to assign this to a travel or a trip that we are going on, let's say that we are going to Australia in 42 days. This color means Australia for me in 42 days with this particular node. And also I will assign this to be my passport, my rental car, and somebody taking care of the house and the dogs while we're gone. If you've gotten your passport ready to go, there you go. If these two are still unchecked as this number drops, you might be mindful of making sure that these are filled in and that everything is done before your trip. You can assign these to be whatever you want. You can have multiple trips going. Let's say we're going to Australia and Georgia for an event. Also, you maybe have a few things on your event list to do still, and that can be noted and tracked at the same exact time. How that would look filled in on our daily journal would be just simply that we have 20 days left to Australia. We have got the passport yet, got the rental car, and still looking for somebody to take care of the dogs. 40 days here, and we have these assigned to be something. I've gotten one taken care of. We still have a couple of things to be mindful. And that may be added to my goals down here at the bottom so that I can keep track of that. Use the countdowns in any way that you'd like. Temporal Constellation. Your temporal constellation can be found on the right-hand page, dead center off to the right. Now, this section is where I will fill in the month, day, and year, and it has arrows to follow me around for the order of that, as well as I will list the day of the week here. In this section, though, you have 3 different constellations at play that you can completely explode out and break down to mean anything that you want. We're looking to reach a wide audience here, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but you have an intimacy tracker that can be utilized in any way that you'd like. Also, a mind, body, soul, trinity tracker right here, where you can keep track of these and stay in balance. Again, utilized in any way that you would like. If we look at the filled in page, we could see that here, awesome. And then my mind, body, and soul has been going strong for 111 days. We have been very consistent with making sure that we are in balance in that way. It is July 25th of 2024, which happens to be a Thursday. This is my color for July, so you may even delineate a month color whenever you're filling this in. That's how I do it. That is your temporal tracker, but feel free to assign this and use it in any way that you would like. Spine nodes are located on the outside of your journal. They're going to be on the spine section, which is why they are called that. Each book, no matter what you have, has spine nodes, and they have different colors to delineate the different books. Use this for whatever you would like. Of course, I choose to use the volume I am on for the year and the year number. So if this is my first book for the year, I will put number 1 there, and then 24 for the year that I am in, which is 2024. Projects that you are using, books or different stories, anything like that, this can be coded in any way that you would like, a little emoji, something like that. But the spine nodes are a great way to navigate when you get multiples of these on your shelf. It does take 3 books to complete 1 year if you are going through the system incomplete. In the back of this beautiful book here, we have sample pages from this beautiful book here. And a breakdown of what those would look like filled in is here. Any way that you would like to utilize this, of course, feel free. They are open range pages for you to do just whatever you would like. They share the temporal constellation for the most part, bullet point style if you would like to make separate notes or lists or anything like that. And if you need more room from not being able to fill out your conversation with self in the front, go ahead and come to the back. You have 20 extra pages back here. But if you do like this style, we have a complete other edition of introspective expansion. There are 3 volumes in this with 3 different custom layout lines for you to choose and use however you would like. Now in this as well, you can see here again that I have used this to break down my video breakdown series. This is what I use to organize myself to do these videos here. But again, can be used in any way that you would like. Just want to also mention the beautiful cover art by Ashley Rose. She is going to be linked down in the description of this so that you can find out more about her and her artwork. And of course, want to shout out the beautiful work of Janine Burgess on the front cover of the Mindful Expansion Volume 1 journal. Could not be more grateful. This is a custom piece for this project. I mentioned it to her and said, I would like to use one of your amazing pieces of art for this journal that I'm doing. And she said, absolutely not. I would like to create something custom for this journal. And that's what she did. Not only a tremendous artist, but a warm heart. Make sure you reach out to her to tell her what a wonderful job she did. I want to take a moment and thank a few folks who have helped me in this process of creating these journals and getting this video series out. Number 1, first and foremost, my beautiful wife. Thank you so much for being my rock. Number 2, I would love to thank Janine Burgess for this beautiful cover design. When I mentioned it to her and asked to use one of her pieces for the cover of this book, she said, absolutely not. I would like to create something from scratch, and so she did. Could not be more grateful for the result. She can be found linked down below at her website. The mat used for this video is one of my favorite things ever. This is from ForgottenYouthSupply.com, and it's also a mouse pad. It's a gigantic game / mouse pad. I absolutely adore it, and thank you, Patricio. And also want to shout out Clean Pure Life. It's the only candles we burn in our home. Leslie Hopkins is a dear friend, and just wanted to shout those folks out, along with our beautiful cover designs by both Janine Burgess and also the beautiful work by Ashley Rose for the cover design for Introspective Expansion Volume 1. Could not be more grateful for these folks in my life. Thank you so much.